Your November Social Security check might not arrive when you expect it to. If you've been counting on your payment hitting your account on the same date it always does, you need to hear this right now. The Social Security Administration has confirmed specific scheduling adjustments for November 2025 that could shift your payment date by several days, and if you're not prepared, it could throw off your entire monthly budget. Whether you receive retirement benefits, disability payments, or supplemental security income, these changes affect how and when your money arrives. The difference between knowing this information today and finding out the hard way could mean late bills, overdraft fees, or unnecessary stress during the holiday season. Thousands of beneficiaries across America are already confused about why their payment calendars look different this month, and the SSA's official notices haven't made it any clearer. In the next few minutes, I'm breaking down exactly which dates have changed, why the administration made these adjustments, and most importantly, what you need to do right now to make sure your finances stay on track. This isn't speculation or rumor. These are the confirmed payment dates straight from the Social Security Administration, and they matter to your bottom line. Let me be completely honest with you right from the start. The Social Security payment system operates on a schedule that most people think they understand, but November 2025 brings some specific timing issues that are catching beneficiaries off guard. Now, before we dive into the exact dates, I want you to understand why these changes happen in the first place. Because once you know the reasoning behind it, the whole system starts to make a lot more sense and you'll never be confused again. The Social Security Administration doesn't just randomly pick dates out of a hat. They follow a very structured payment calendar that's been in place for decades, and it's based on your birth date and the type of benefit you receive. But here's where it gets tricky. When regular payment dates fall on weekends or federal holidays, the SSA has to adjust those dates, and November 2025 has some calendar quirks that are creating these shifts. The problem is that many beneficiaries have their bills set up on autopay, their rent is due on specific dates, and their entire monthly budget is built around getting that Social Security deposit on the same day every single month. So when these adjustments happen, even if it's just by a day or two, it can create a real domino effect in your financial life. Let me walk you through how the standard payment schedule actually works, because understanding this foundation is crucial. If you started receiving Social Security benefits before May 1997, or if you receive both Social Security and supplemental security income, your payment typically arrives on the 3rd of every month. That's a pretty straightforward rule, and it's been consistent for years. But for everyone else, and that's the majority of beneficiaries, your payment date is determined by the day of the month you were born. If your birthday falls between the 1st and the 10th of any month, your Social Security payment comes on the 2nd Wednesday of each month. If you were born between the 11th and the 20th, you get paid on the 3rd Wednesday. And if your birthday is between the 21st and the 31st, your payment arrives on the 4th Wednesday of the month. This birth date system was designed to spread out the payments and avoid overwhelming the banking system with millions of transactions all hitting at once. Now let's talk about what's actually happening in November 2025 specifically. The calendar this month creates some interesting situations because of how the weekends and the Thanksgiving holiday line up with these regular payment dates. When we look at the first group of beneficiaries, those who started receiving benefits before May 1997 or who get SSI payments, their standard payment date would be November 3rd. But here's the thing, November 3rd, 2025 falls on a Monday, which means that payment date actually stays right where it is. There's no federal holiday interfering with it, and it's a regular business day. So if you're in this category, you're actually one of the lucky ones this month because your date isn't shifting at all. Your money should hit your account on Monday, November 3rd, just like you'd expect. But things get more complicated when we move to the birth date system. Let's start with the folks born between the 1st and 10th of the month. Your regular payment date is the 2nd Wednesday of November, which this year lands on November 12th. That's also staying put as a regular Wednesday payment with no holidays or weekends pushing it around. So if you were born in the first 10 days of any month, mark your calendar for Wednesday, November 12th. Your payment is coming exactly when the standard schedule says it should. Now I know some of you might be thinking, well, if these dates aren't changing, what's all the fuss about? Hold on. because this is where it gets important for the other groups. For beneficiaries born between the 11th and 20th of the month, your scheduled payment date is the third Wednesday of November. When you count it out on the calendar, that third Wednesday falls on November 19th. This is another date that's holding steady without any adjustments. It's a regular business day. There's nothing interfering with the banking systems, and the Social Security Administration can process those payments without any calendar conflicts. So Wednesday, November 19th, is locked in for this group. You can set your budget around that date with confidence. The money will be there, and you won't have to worry about any surprise delays or early payments throwing off your planning. Now we get to the group that's actually experiencing the most significant change this November. And this is crucial information if you were born between the 21st and 31st of any month. Your standard payment date would normally be the fourth Wednesday of November. When you look at the November 2025 calendar, that fourth Wednesday falls on November 26th. And here's the problem. November 26th is the day before Thanksgiving. Now, technically, the day before Thanksgiving isn't a federal holiday. The federal holiday is Thanksgiving Day itself, which is Thursday, November 27th. But here's what the Social Security Administration knows from years of experience. The Wednesday before Thanksgiving might as well be a holiday because banks operate on reduced schedules. Many government offices close early, millions of Americans are traveling, and the entire financial system basically starts shutting down for the long holiday weekend. Trying to process millions of Social Security payments on that Wednesday would be a logistical nightmare and would likely result in delays that could push your money all the way into the following week. So the Social Security Administration makes a practical decision. Instead of sticking with that fourth Wednesday date of November 26th, they move the payment earlier. If you were born between the 21st and 31st of the month, your payment is actually going to arrive on Tuesday, November 25th instead. That's one day earlier than the standard Wednesday schedule would dictate. Now, getting your money a day early might sound like a good thing, and in many ways it is. You're not waiting longer. You're actually getting access to your funds sooner. But here's why this still matters, and why you need to know about it. If you have automatic bill payments scheduled for the 26th based on when you thought your money would arrive, those payments might try to process before your Social Security deposit has actually cleared into your account, especially if your bank takes time to process the deposit. You need to double-check your autopay dates and make sure everything lines up correctly with this November 25th deposit date. Let's also talk about supplemental security income, because SSI follows completely different rules, and SSI recipients are dealing with their own set of date changes in November. SSI payments normally go out on the first of every month, but just like with regular Social Security, if the first falls on a weekend or holiday, the payment gets adjusted. In November 2025, the first of the month falls on a Saturday. Since banks don't process federal payments on weekends, the SSA bumps that payment to the last business day of the previous month. That means your November SSI payment is actually going to arrive on Friday, October 31st. Yes, you read that right. Your November payment comes at the end of October. This is actually great news if you're someone who struggles to stretch your budget through the end of the month, because you're getting that money a full 2 days earlier than the regular schedule. But again, you need to think about your bill payment timing. If you have rent or other major expenses due on November 1st, you need to make sure that money is actually in your account and cleared before those payments try to process on that Saturday or the following Monday. Here's something else that doesn't get talked about enough, and it's really important for your planning. When your Social Security payment gets moved earlier because of a holiday or weekend, the following month's payment doesn't get moved. It goes back to the regular schedule. So even though your November payment might come on a different date, your December payment will follow the normal calendar rules for December. You can't just assume that every month will have the same adjustment. Each month stands on its own based on how the calendar falls that particular month. December 2025 has its own set of dates, and they're different from November. This is why checking the official Social Security payment calendar every month is so important, especially during holiday seasons when there are multiple federal holidays that could affect the schedule. Now I want to address something that causes a lot of confusion and frankly a lot of unnecessary panic among beneficiaries. Sometimes people see their payment date change and they immediately worry that something is wrong with their benefits, that maybe their claim is under review or there's been some kind of error in the system. Let me put your mind at ease right now. These calendar-based date changes are completely normal and routine. They happen every single year whenever payment dates would fall on weekends or federal holidays. This is not a sign that anything is wrong with your benefits. The Social Security Administration is simply following their standard operating procedures to make sure you get your money on time through the banking system. Your benefit amount isn't changing, your eligibility isn't being questioned, and there's no action you need to take. The money is still coming, it's just coming on a slightly adjusted date to work around the calendar. There's also the question of how you can stay informed about these schedule changes without having to search for information every single month or worry that you're missing something important. The Social Security Administration actually publishes a payment schedule calendar every year that shows you all 12 months at a glance with all the adjusted dates already marked. You can find this calendar on the official SSA website, and I highly recommend downloading it and keeping it somewhere accessible, maybe taped to your refrigerator or saved on your phone. Having that visual reference means you never have to guess when your money is coming. You can plan your entire year's budget around those confirmed dates. The website is ssa.gov, and you can search for payment schedule to find the current year's calendar. They usually publish the next year's calendar in the fall, so you can plan ahead even further. Let me give you some practical advice for managing these date changes without letting them disrupt your financial stability. First, if you're not already doing this, I strongly encourage you to sign up for direct deposit if you haven't already. The vast majority of Social Security beneficiaries now receive their payments through direct deposit, and it's by far the most reliable and secure method. When there are date adjustments like we're seeing in November, direct deposit means the money hits your account automatically on the correct adjusted date without any extra steps on your part. You don't have to worry about mail delays or lost checks or any of those complications. Second, consider building even a small buffer in your checking account if at all possible. I know that's easier said than done on a fixed income, but even having $50 or $100 extra in your account can prevent overdraft fees if an automatic payment tries to process before your Social Security deposit fully clears. That buffer can save you $30 or $40 in bank fees, which on a Social Security budget is real money that you can't afford to waste. Third, review all your automatic payments and bill due dates at least once a year to make sure they're still aligned with your actual income schedule. Sometimes companies change their billing dates, or you might have set something up years ago and forgotten about it. Taking an hour to go through your bank statements and verify when everything is actually coming out versus when your income actually arrives can prevent a lot of headaches and financial stress down the road.